Flying private to and from games as a pro athlete should be standard, right? Nope, not in the WNBA. Private air travel is once again a focus of free agent conversations across the league. Stars like Breanna Stewart, Sue Bird, and the NBA's Ja Morant are speaking up to push for charter travel. Now, Jenna Lemoncelli is the New York Post sports and entertainment reporter, and she's been covering this hot topic for the Post. Jenna, first and foremost, thanks for jumping on this with us. Please explain to us what the WNBA players' travel situation like is currently, especially compared to the NBA and other pro athletes, and what are the problems that the WNBA players are facing?
Yeah, the WNBA and its players are facing a huge travel issue right now, and it's been brewing for months, but it reached a head when Breanna Stewart, of course, one of the most lucrative on the market free agents, tweeted that she would put up her name, image, and likeness, as well as time and social media posts toward an agreement with charter flights for the W. Now, they need sponsors, and there's so many things that go into this. But right now, sticking to the business, the W flies commercial, which means that should sound familiar to some of us because I take commercial flights all the time. If I want to go to Dallas, I'm booking a commercial flight and I could be sitting next to any one of the W players on that flight because that is how they are traveling at this time. Now they're pushing for travel for charter travel, and that would mean that they wouldn't have to go necessarily on an airline schedule, and they'd be able to come and go as they please, which saves them a bunch of time and different resources, which we'll get into. But they're traveling commercial right now, which is a hassle with baggage claims, delays, everything. If a flight is delayed, which we've been seeing it, of course, across the board with outages, they're sitting on the tarmac with everyone else on that flight, which means they're missing practice. They're missing potential events and different things that they should be at, as opposed to the NBA and its players, among other leagues as well, that fly private, which means they don't have to deal with any of those headaches of normal commercial travel.
Yeah, and you think about how a flight taxes the body anyway. You're not getting your rest as an athlete when you have to face delays and sitting there on the tarmac. So why are we talking about this again? Why is this an issue, and why is this in the news once again?
It's in the news once again because, like I said, Breanna Stewart, two-time WNBA champion, of course, she is on the free agent market. Time is ticking for her. She tweeted that she said, "Who's with me?" And that was for a proposal of putting up basically her own money, name, image, and likeness for a charter flight agreement with sponsors for the WNBA. Now, with this, it got a lot of attention, including from Grizzlies point guard Ja Morant, who said that he would support it as well. Kyrie Irving spoke out about it last night after a loss to the 76ers. And more people and more players in the W, including Chiney Ogwumike, Elena Delle Donne, a lot of veterans, are speaking out saying that they would be willing to do this. Now, that is easier said than done because the W would have to come together. And of course, it's an estimated $30 million deal to get sponsors to even agree to something like this. But that's why it's at the forefront, because this topic has been discussed. We remember when Nets owner Joe Tsai was fined $500,000 for chartering a flight for the Liberty players in 2021. So again, it's a huge topic, and it's something that might not get done until the end of the CBA agreement, which goes through 2027 now, which, if you guys remember, the WNBA players tabled the charter flight agreement for increases in their salary and other perks in other areas for that CBA. So it's definitely a messy situation.
All right, so that's going to lead into the how, because we know the what and what needs to be changed. Now let's talk about that how. How does this change? And you mentioned that CBA deal.
Yeah, this changes by, again, these players speaking up and speaking out. And of course, the commissioner, Kathy Engelhart, came out and said that the W would support this if they can get the sponsors. But that's apparently the big elephant in the room. They can't get the sponsors and the money, which a lot of people, including former WNBA player Chastity Melvin, who I spoke to yesterday, said that she couldn't wrap her head around because of all of the power players that people know within the W and its players. So again, she was explaining to me that when this issue happens when they fly commercial, they're missing film time, they're missing practice, they're having swelling, which occurs, of course, on any normal flight. And she said that you could have the best trainers in the world, but you're not going to get these players at 100% if they're flying commercial still. So they need to band together and find some sort of sponsorship that's going to fund this, because right now, like I mentioned before, it's about a $30 million question.
Yeah, and while I have you on here, I read a tweet talking about how Brittany Greiner should fly charter because of security reasons. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on it are absolutely, I mean, to have Brittany Greiner in the position that she's in, we know that she was recently released after being a prisoner in Russia for most of 2022. And I do believe that she should fly charter, and because of her safety. It's a safety issue. It brings attention to the team as well as her, and safety should be at the forefront of these players, of course, as well as their health. I do believe she should fly charter, but that also comes with a balance of fairness within the league, which means if one person can do it, they all have to do it. Again, they're very different circumstances, and I do believe Brittany should be flying charter. But again, it also comes down to that fairness question because of the CBA, because in that CBA, chartered flights are against policy and you could suffer fines. So again, it's a fairness issue, it's a money issue, and it's going to take a lot to get this issue resolved, but I believe she should also be flying charter.
Jenna Lemoncelli, on top of things as usual. I'm sure we'll be hearing more about this, so we're going to be coming back to you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.